Who could have possibly predicted the worst kept secret of Doctor Who Series 14 production? Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. TARDIS and welcome to a Doctor Who news video. I normally do these live streams on Monday evening, but this news broke yesterday, Tuesday, so that will teach me for streaming on time. But before we get started, if you enjoy Doctor Who, be sure to subscribe to the Mr. TARDIS YouTube channel for reviews, for news, for live streams and updates and such. We're currently on the precipice of 40,000 subscribers. It would be amazing to reach that goal before Series 14, and you can help me out with that. My next big video is an in-depth breakdown of, believe it or not, Steven Moffat's first televised Doctor Who contribution, The Curse of Fatal Death, which has recently celebrated its 25th anniversary. So make sure you're subscribed to be updated on when that happens. You can watch it early if you're a patron, but if you want to support the channel in other ways, hit the like button. It really helps me out, and leave any comment down below. I want to know up front, what's your favourite Doctor Who script written by Steven Moffat? Let me know in the comment section below. For me, it might be either The Doctor Falls or Heaven Sent. But then again, The Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead two-parter genuinely does get better every time I rewatch it, so watch this space, that might change. So yeah, for the next run of Doctor Who, Series 14, starring Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson, we do know some of the writers involved. We know that Russell T Davies is predominantly writing most of the 8 episodes. We also know that Kate Herron and Brian E. Redman are writing an episode as well. They're from Loki and Sex Education. However, we are still waiting for official confirmation on who is writing the last few episodes. And one of the prevailing rumours for the past few weeks and months is that Steven Moffat is writing one of the episodes. There's also the rumour that he's also writing the upcoming 2024 Christmas special. We'll touch on that later. But at the Radio Times cover party at the end of January, Steven Moffat was interviewed there and saying that Doctor Who, it's fine without him. He was quoted as saying, "Look at my aging face, how can I fit in? And I know because I've seen the feedback that people think I'm being evasive on the subject. The truth is, if I say anything negative about Doctor Who, it goes everywhere, like boom, everywhere, right? It doesn't exactly bring joy to the world that I just say something negative about Doctor Who. The fact is, it's fine without me. We've got Russell there, we've got a bunch of new writers there, we've got Ncuti there, it's all good." So it seems pretty clear cut. Steven Moffat is not returning for Russell T Davies's new regime under Bad Wolf. But then on March 12th, it was spotted on producer Alison Sterling, who's working on Doctor Who, that the Series 15 Christmas special, the 2024 Christmas special, directed by Alex Pillai, is apparently going to be written by Steven Moffat. And then the Radio Times ran with that a few hours later. Doctor Who Steven Moffat returns to write 2024 Christmas special, but the BBC is not commenting on the timey-wimey reports. However, over a week later, the CV of Alison Sterling has been updated to remove Steven Moffat's name. I imagine she got quite an angry phone call from the BBC. Tipping my hand here in regards to the Doctor Who upcoming Christmas special, I heard that news about Steven Moffat writing it several months ago. I've just kind of been sat on it because while I do talk about Doctor Who news, I'm not here to break scoops, I'm not here to leak anything. As you know, I work freelance in the TV and film industry, and people talk, these things come out. Some people close to the production who watch my videos get in touch with me and tell me these things, and I guess kind of have to sit on them. So I've known for several months that Steven Moffat is writing the 2024 Christmas special. So imagine my surprise when yesterday, the official Doctor Who Twitter account breaks the news that Steven Moffat returns to Doctor Who. The former showrunner makes an explosive return as he writes an episode of Ncuti Gatwa's first season as the Doctor. The tweet takes you to a link on the official Doctor Who website. Steven Moffat returns to write episode for new season of Doctor Who. He's writing an episode with Julie Ann Robinson directing, so we know that this is from the third production block with Julie Ann Robinson, director of episodes of Bridgerton, The Good Place, Orange is the New Black, etc, etc. She's directing episodes 1 and 3 of Series 14. So let's read the article. Former showrunner Steven Moffat makes an explosive return to the new series of Doctor Who as he writes an episode due to air in Ncuti Gatwa's first season as the 15th Doctor. The article goes on to talk about his history with the show, working on the show in 2005, then became showrunner, leading the show during the Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi era, creator of The Weeping Angels. Outside of Doctor Who, he co-created the multi-award winning series Sherlock. Speaking on his return to the Whoniverse, Steven Moffat says, "Yes, okay, fair enough. Apologies to everyone, I've very slightly misled. I am in fact writing an episode of the series of Doctor Who. Exactly like I said I never would. What can I tell you? There was begging, there was pleading, but finally, Russell agreed to let me have another go so long as I got out of his garden. Working with old friends and a brand new Doctor, I couldn't be happier. Sorry I was a bit reticent on the subject for so long. It was all part of an elaborate plan that would have delighted millions, but at the last minute I forgot what it was." hilarious. I know that not everyone's on board for Stephen Moffat's brand of humour, but I like how he just can never be switched off during like a press interview or a press statement. He always has to be snarky and comedic in every interview that he does. When reviewing The Curse of Fate or Death, I went over the VHS documentary of the making of it, and he's quite openly talking about how he got the job because he, quote, inseminated the producer.
Having inseminated the producer, I obviously was obliged to work for Comic Relief at that stage. Since Sue, and it was Sue that I inseminated rather than Richard Curtis, suggested that we do a Doctor Who Comic Relief sketch because I like Doctor Who.
Speaking to Julie Ann Robinson, who's directing those episodes of Doctor Who, it was a tremendous honour to direct episodes of Doctor Who for the BBC and Disney+. This beloved franchise is 60 years old and still going strong. It is part of our collective memory as Brits. I've always admired Russell T Davies and Ncuti Gatwa as an unbelievably talented actor who has stepped into the role of the 15th Doctor effortlessly alongside the equally talented Millie Gibson. Stephen Moffat gave me an intense challenge as a director. I asked him for a keyword to describe the overall tone of the episode. He said, Hitchcock. I can't wait to see what everyone thinks. I'm grateful to Bad Wolf, the BBC and Disney+. It was an incredible experience. Russell T Davies commented on his Instagram about the story. Well, I turned my back for 5 minutes. I've had a quick look and there's a thing that does things and a perfectly ordinary word turned into something terrifying and it's all in outer space and there's a woman and oh my god. It is of course brilliant, beyond brilliant. It's an absolutely mesmerizing episode. I'm lucky and proud and honoured to be working with Stephen Moffat, the great man, and to have this directed by the genius of Julie Ann Robinson. We're all lucky. Stephen was the second phone call I made after getting the old job back. The first was Chris Chibnall, but he sent love and kisses and ran off to write his new novel. So stand back, get ready, and travel with the Doctor and Ruby to the most dangerous world you can imagine, and Antelope Moment Drums. For some reason, reading that gave me the Doctor's wife vibes, you know, when Amy has to remember those keywords in order to open the door: quiet, crimson, 11, delight, and petrichor. Also, Russell T Davies mentioned contacting Chris Chibnall in that Instagram post, and that he said no, he's currently writing a novel. You can actually pre-order that novel. It's a crime thriller called Death at the White Hart, and it's due to come out on January 30th, 2025. I have already pre-ordered my hardback copy. So yeah, I've known for a while that Stephen Moffat was writing the upcoming Christmas special. I didn't know that he was writing one of the main episodes of the upcoming series. So it seems like, if the information is correct, he's writing 2 episodes. If we go onto Wikipedia, which has very helpfully collated all of the writers and the directors that we know about so far, we know that the production block that Julie Ann Robinson was directing was episodes 1 and 3, and the Wikipedia edit has kind of made the assumption that Stephen Moffat is writing the 3rd episode, which kind of makes sense because it would be unheard of in the revived series for a showrunner to not write the opening episode of the series. But to be fair, maybe you could count The Church on Ruby Road as the season opener. Like, maybe he is writing the 3rd episode and Russell T Davies is writing the 1st, but it could honestly go either way at this point. I mean, outside of the current showrunner, who would you entrust to write the 1st episode of the new series? A former showrunner. You know, it makes sense. So yeah, the writers for Series 14, Russell T Davies, Stephen Moffat, Russell T Davies, TBA, a collaboration with Kate Herron and Bryony Redmond for this 1 episode, then Russell T Davies and TBA for the series finale, but I would be quite surprised if Russell T Davies was not writing the finale of the series. I think this is a 2-parter as well. It's got the same director as well, it was part of the same production block. So if we're following that logic of Russell T Davies also writing the finale, it means that we only have 1 more writer, 1 more episode to announce the creative team on. This 1 episode directed by Dylan Holmes Williams, and I imagine it's got to be a brand new writer to Doctor Who. Firstly, because I really want to believe that, because I don't like the idea of it just being entirely old guard, with the exception of the 2 women who are just writing the 1 episode here towards the end of the series, which is not great optics-wise. And secondly, I imagine it's not a massive name in TV and film, because they probably would have announced it earlier if that was the case. So yeah, who is writing episode 5 of Series 14? TBA. I actually don't know. That's the writing credit for the next series that I don't know about. So how do I feel about this? Now, there's a perception within the Doctor Who community that I hate Stephen Moffat, and to be fair, I think because of a lot of my earlier reviews that I was doing during his time as showrunner, when I was, you know, deliberately trying to be a bit more provocative and angry and such and performatively outraged and stuff, like, I can understand that perception. and I acknowledge that that perception is on me. I have no one to blame but myself for that perception. But if you've been watching my channel for just the past few years, you'll understand that my relationship with Steven Moffat is a lot more complicated. Steven Moffat has quite literally got more televised Doctor Who credits than any other writer, by orders of magnitude. That record might be surpassed by Russell T Davies, but only because he came back for a second round as showrunner. No other writer in the 60-year history of Doctor Who has been so thoroughly immersed in the world of Doctor Who, and just by sheer law of averages, it means that he's written some of the absolute best of the show, and in my opinion, some of the absolute worst. With the absolute best, you've got The Empty Child, you've got Blink, you've got The Pandorica Opens, The Day of the Doctor, Heaven Sent, The Doctor Falls, and then you've also got some of the absolute worst which comes to mind, like Asylum of the Daleks, like The Magician's Apprentice, like Dark Water and Death in Heaven, Twice Upon a Time. I only love one half of his Christmas specials, the first half of A Christmas Carol. The rest, in my opinion, are basically a write-off, but then again, I'm not really a big fan of most of the Christmas specials. I understand why some viewers of mine focus on the negative reviews that I've done of his work and ignore the positive, but in like my biggest Doctor Who video, which is the top 50 Doctor Who moments of the revived series, 4 of the 10 moments are from Steven Moffat penned scripts, including the very top spot. A further 2 of that top 10 weren't written by him, but were done during his tenure as showrunner, from Vincent and the Doctor and The Girl Who Waited. Steven Moffat clearly lives and breathes Doctor Who, so it's a great assurance that he's back. I kind of wish, though, that he was either just doing the one-off Christmas special or not coming back at all. Because like I've talked about before, it's part of just the broader narrative of, oh, it's a brand new, fresh era of Doctor Who with Bad Wolf and Disney Plus and Ncuti Gatwa. Oh, but by the way, it looks like almost all of the episodes are going to be penned by the old guard. We even have the old producers with Julie Gardner and Phil Collinson. We've got Murray Gold back and Russell T Davies is showrunning again. David Tennant and Catherine Tate came back. So we have actually a lot more of the old as opposed to the new. I was kind of hoping that the 60th anniversary would be the safe, contemplative look back at the show's past, but then Series 14 would be looking forward into the bright and bold future. But if you look at this current writers list, like I said, if we go with the prevailing theory that Russell T Davies is writing the finale, we're only going to have 2 of the upcoming 8 episodes, 9 if you count the Christmas special, written by brand new writers. And that's even if this one is a brand new writer, we still don't know yet. And Kate Herron and Bryony Redmond, the only female writers on this list so far, have been put together to work on the one episode, which in and of itself isn't an issue, but it's part of the broader picture. That being said, a lot of the issues that I had with the Steven Moffat era, I think could be chalked up to production logistics and just him having to write 5 or 6 episodes at minimum every single year, whilst also writing Sherlock, whilst also putting together the 50th anniversary and stuff. And many fans think that he did some of his best work whilst working under Russell T Davies as showrunner. And that's not me saying that Steven Moffat can't write good scripts on his own, obviously, but it's part of the broader creative process. I love that clip in the commentary of The Doctor's Wife where Neil Gaiman, and every so often he'll be like, oh, that was a Moffat line, that was a Moffat note, Moffat wrote that. Like, it's a collaborative process, even though at the end of the day there was only one writer credited on the episode itself. All you have to do is look on the BBC Writers' Room website for this first draft of Blink written by Steven Moffat, which he uploaded during the Doctor Who lockdown pandemic event. The opening of Blink, Wester Drumlins, big forbidding gates, wrought iron, the works, a big modern padlock on. Through the gates, an old house, ancient, crumbling, overgrown, once beautiful, still beautiful in decay. Panning along on the gates, danger, keep out, unsafe structure. The gates are shaking, like someone is climbing them, and then a figure drops into a view on the other side, straightens up into a close-up. Sally Sparrow, early 20s, very pretty, just a bit mad, just a bit dangerous. She's staring at the house, eyes shining, big naughty grin. Sexy. And she starts marching up the long gravel drive. Yeah, you can tell that this is a very different Sally Sparrow than we got in the end episode, and a lot of that is attributed to Russell T Davies' rewrites. I genuinely do recommend reading this first draft of Blink by Steven Moffat, mainly to just hit home the point that unfiltered Steven Moffat can be quite insufferable, and he'll often need producers and script editors and showrunners like Russell T Davies to tone him down a bit and rein him in. So with all of those factors in in play. Russell T Davies showrunning another script written by Stephen Moffat, but Stephen Moffat has taken some time away from Doctor Who to recharge his batteries. Since leaving Doctor Who, he's done a run in the theatre with the play The Unfriend. He wrote the Dracula miniseries, The Time Traveller's Wife. He's got the upcoming Douglas is Cancelled, starring Karen Gillan from his run on Doctor Who. He also wrote Inside Man, which I've not watched yet, but it's on my list. And while Stephen Moffat writing an ITV series about a news anchor who becomes the victim of cancel culture sounds like the most insufferable fucking thing I've heard in my entire life, I'm still looking forward to what he brings back to Doctor Who now that he's had some distance from the show. But then again, I kind of thought the same for Russell T Davies, and with the exception of The Wild Blue Yonder, the 60th anniversary specials felt a little bit derivative, particularly The Giggle. The Giggle just felt like a retread of most of his tropes from Series 4, but done with significantly shallower substance. Overall, I'm kind of mixed on the news, leaning into the positive. Like, yeah, it's cool that we're going to be getting more Stephen Moffat Doctor Who, but like I said, Curse of Fatal Death turned 25 this month. We already know what Stephen Moffat Doctor Who looks like. We have known that for 25 years. We already know what Doctor Who feels like under Russell T Davies. I want to know who the new names are. I want to know who's going to be joining Kate Herron and Bryony Redman. I want to know who the new guard is, because it still feels like the old guard are just refusing to let go of something that they've had creative control of for the best part of 20 years, when a whole new generation has grown up watching and loving Doctor Who and are waiting for the torch to be passed to them, but Russell and Stephen and others are just clinging onto it for dear life. Say what you will about Chris Chibnall as a showrunner, but he did a significantly better job at showing us what a Doctor Who with a brand new writing team would look and feel like. Vinay Patel, Pete Mateague, Joy Wilkinson, Ed Heim, Mallory Blackman, Maxine Alderton, Charlene James, Nina Mativier. Seeing brand new names in that written by Wikipedia column, that's what gets me excited for upcoming Doctor Who. Not to say that Stephen Moffat can't deliver something brand new and fresh and bold and sexy and right now. He could be writing Series 2 of Class for all I know. But if that's the case, then why bring in an old writer to have them do something completely different instead of just bringing in a brand new writer? I don't know. Like I said, my feelings on Stephen Moffat as a Doctor Who writer are complicated, much like his timey-wimey stories. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button, subscribe as well if you haven't already. It really, really helps me out. So folks, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.